All right, so get ready because we're about to dive into something really creepy with this deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
We've got this first-person account, and it reads like a psychological thriller, you know? And right away, you're just dropped right into this guy's paranoia. He's
Yeah.
got missing stuff, things moved around.
Right.
It's like someone is messing with him, but really subtly, you know?
Yeah.
Like the kind of stuff you'd probably just blame on stress at
Oh,
first.
absolutely. And that's exactly how he reacts initially.
Right.
But then things start escalating.
Yeah.
And it becomes clear that this isn't just everyday forgetfulness or clutter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a classic haunted house setup.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
but instead of slamming doors and ghostly apparitions,
Right.
it's this slow creeping dread that builds with every odd detail.
Oh, for sure. And then there's the scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so picture this, 2:47 in the morning,
Oh, wow.
and he finds his wife in the basement,
What?
carving into the floor with a screwdriver. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will.
That's really scary.
I know.
So creepy.
Yeah.
What's interesting here is how the narrator tries to explain it away.
Right.
Sleepwalking may be stress,
Mm-hmm.
but deep down, you get the sense that he knows something is seriously off.
Yeah.
This incident, though,
Yeah.
this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, no.
Because then he finds this box of unmarked VHS tapes.
What?
12 of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And these aren't home movies or anything?
No. But they're recordings of him
Really?
going about his day, totally unaware he's being filmed.
That's so creepy.
Yeah.
His office, his car, even his own bedroom.
It's like someone was stalking him, documenting his every move.
Gosh, the camera angles are what get me.
Oh, yeah.
They're often strange, almost voyeuristic. Like whoever was filming this wanted to capture his vulnerability.
Yeah, and then there's this one tape where you hear a noise and he turns quickly.
Oh!
The camera pans to the doorway. And guess who's standing there, holding that same screwdriver?
No way. His wife.
Yep, holding the screwdriver.
Oh my gosh.
Just standing there watching him.
Wow.
It's like a scene ripped straight from a Hitchcock film.
Right.
You know, something bad is about to happen, but you don't know what or when.
So does he confront her about the tapes?
He does, but what's fascinating is how she flips the script.
What?
She claims that he's the one who's been following her,
Really?
that she found the tapes weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
It's this complete role reversal that leaves him questioning everything.
Wow, that's some serious mind game stuff right there.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens next? Does he believe her?
Well, she ends up leaving him.
What?
Just walked out, leaving him with more questions than answers.
Oh, wow.
And it's at this point that he decides to watch the last tape in the box.
Okay.
The one dated the day before.
Uh-huh.
And that's where things get really strange.
What does he see on the tape?
He sees himself writing in a notebook he's never seen before.
Um,
And what's even more chilling is the entry he's writing. She knows I know.
Okay, that's seriously creepy. So does he find this notebook?
He does.
Wow.
He tears the house apart looking for it
Yeah.
and eventually finds it hidden in a drawer.
Uh-huh.
And what he finds inside is even more disturbing.
What?
It's filled with detailed logs of his wife's movements,
Okay.
all written in his handwriting.
Wait, he doesn't remember writing any of this?
Nope, no memory of it whatsoever.
Oh,
It's like someone else was controlling his hand, making him document her every move.
that's terrifying.
And then there's this final line at the end of the notebook.
What's that?
Tomorrow, she'll leave. Don't stop her.
Hold on. Is this like a prediction or a command? I
Yeah.
mean, who's writing this stuff and what do they want?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's what makes this deep dive so fascinating because
Yeah.
the next morning, just as the notebook predicted,
Yeah.
his wife disappears.
Wow. Okay, so the plot thickens.
Right.
Did she leave any explanation?
Sure. The only thing she leaves behind is a note.
Okay.
And it's written in his handwriting, too.
Oh, gosh.
Just 4 chilling words. Who is watching you?
Okay, that's just messed up. It's like someone is deliberately trying to drive this guy insane.
Exactly. He's completely isolated, haunted by this sense of being watched and controlled.
Right.
He searches the house again, hoping to find some clue,
Yeah.
some explanation.
Yeah.
But this time he discovers something even stranger.
What's that?
All the VHS tapes are now blank.
What?
It's like someone is erasing the evidence,
Wow.
tightening their grip on his reality.
Oh, wow. This is getting seriously freaky. So what happens next?
He goes to bed exhausted and terrified, and that's when he hears it.
What?
Coming from the living room,
Oh, my God.
laughter,
No.
low and halting, his
Uh-huh.
laughter.
Wait, his own laughter.
Yeah,
Like he can hear himself laughing, but he's not the one doing it.
exactly.
Okay, we need to unpack this because that ending is just bone-chilling.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is like the ultimate betrayal, right?
Right.
You know your own voice,
Yeah.
your own laughter turned against you.
Uh-huh.
It's really scary. And that's what makes this ending so effective.
Right.
You're left wondering if he's truly losing his mind
Yeah.
or if something more sinister is at play.
Okay, so let's dive into the possibilities here.
Yeah,
We've got this guy who's clearly, like, spiraling.
right.
Is this a full-blown mental breakdown,
Not-
or is there something else going on?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And it's one that's not easily answered.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you could argue that the stress of everything,
Uh-huh.
the strange events, the tapes, his wife's bizarre behavior,
Yeah.
has pushed him over the edge.
Yeah.
The laughter could be a manifestation of that breakdown,
Okay.
a sign that his grip on reality is slipping.
But then how do you explain the physical evidence, the tapes, the notebook,
Right.
the note in his handwriting? Those are pretty concrete things that can't just be explained away as hallucinations.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
Because if we rule out a mental breakdown,
Mm-hmm.
we're left with some pretty unsettling alternatives.
Like what?
Like the possibility that someone is deliberately gaslighting him.
Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me. What exactly is gaslighting?
So gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation
Okay.
where the abuser makes the victim doubt their own sanity
Right.
and perception of reality.
Okay.
They might deny events that happened,
Uh-huh.
twist the truth,
Yeah.
or even plant false evidence to make the victim question their own memory
Right.
and judgment.
So you're saying that someone could be doing this to him?
It's definitely a possibility.
Wow.
Think about it, the missing items,
Uh-huh.
the rearranged furniture, the creepy camera angles on the tapes.
Right.
It all feels too deliberate, too calculated to be random.
And let's not forget the notebook. If he didn't write those entries, then who did?
Exactly.
And why would they want to control his actions like that?
Right.
Telling him to let his wife leave, for example.
Yeah.
It's like someone is trying to script his life, turn him into a puppet.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And it raises the question, who would benefit from manipulating him like this?
Right.
Is it his wife?
Right.
Someone else entirely?
Well, his wife's behavior is definitely suspicious.
Yeah.
The screwdriver incident, the claims that he's following her,
Right.
the cryptic note,
Yeah.
it's all very strange.
Yeah.
But if she's behind it, what's her motive?
Right.
Revenge.
Yeah.
Is she trying to frame him for something?
It's hard to say for sure. We're only getting his side of the story, remember?
Right.
But even if she's not the mastermind,
Uh-huh.
she's clearly a key player in this twisted game.
So if it's not a mental breakdown,
Right.
and it's not his wife pulling the strings,
Uh-huh.
what other options are we left with?
Well, there's always the possibility of a third party.
Okay.
Someone who has a grudge against him or who wants to use him for some unknown purpose.
Okay.
Maybe they're trying to discredit him,
Yeah.
frame him for a crime,
Right.
or even drive him to do something drastic.
Like a conspiracy theory kind of thing?
Yeah.
Secret organizations?
Right.
Government agencies?
Ah,
Shadowy figures lurking in the background?
it might sound far-fetched,
Yeah.
but you can't rule it out entirely,
Right.
especially in a world where surveillance technology is so advanced. Maybe someone is using cutting-edge methods to monitor and manipulate him,
Right.
creating this elaborate illusion to achieve their goals.
Oh, that's a pretty wild thought, but I guess anything's possible at this point.
Wait, what?
You got disappearing tapes,
Yeah?
mysterious notebooks,
Uh,
and a wife who might be a victim,
yeah.
a manipulator, or
Right.
something in between.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle where half the pieces are missing.
Exactly. So what do you think is the most likely explanation? Is
Yeah.
this guy losing his mind, or is he a pawn in someone else's game?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this story so effective. It
Yeah.
leaves you with more questions than answers.
Right.
But what I find most fascinating is the psychological aspect of it all.
Okay.
The way the narrator's perception is being warped,
Uh-huh.
the way his paranoia is feeding into the events around him.
It's like a vicious cycle, right?
Exactly.
The more he doubts himself, the more vulnerable he becomes to manipulation.
Exactly. And that brings us to another intriguing possibility.
Okay.
What if the supernatural element
Uh-huh.
isn't just a plot device,
Yeah.
but a metaphor for the psychological torment he's experiencing?
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so what if the laughter he hears at the end
Yeah.
isn't some external entity,
Mm-hmm.
but a manifestation of his own fractured psyche?
Okay.
the voice of his own self-doubt and fear echoing back at him in the darkness.
So instead of being haunted by a ghost, he's being haunted by his own inner demons.
Exactly. It's a more metaphorical interpretation,
Right.
but it fits with the overall themes of paranoia, identity,
Yeah.
and the fragility of perception.
Okay.
It suggests that the real horror isn't something external,
Right.
but something lurking within his own mind.
You know, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It ties in with the idea of gaslighting, too.
Right.
If someone is deliberately trying to manipulate him, they're essentially planting seeds of doubt that grow into these psychological monsters.
And that's what makes this story so chilling.
Right.
It highlights the power of suggestion, the way our own thoughts and fears can be used against us.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
We've explored the mental breakdown theory,
Yeah.
the possibility of gaslighting, and even a metaphorical interpretation of the supernatural elements.
Right.
But we're still left with the same unsettling question,
Yeah.
who is watching him? And what do they want? Yeah, it's like we're piecing together this puzzle,
Right.
but we only have like half the pieces.
Yeah.
Mental breakdown,
Yeah.
gaslighting, or maybe even like his own internal demons.
Right.
There are so many possible explanations.
Yeah.
And yet we're still left with this unsettling feeling that something isn't quite right.
And that's what makes the story so effective.
Right.
It taps into like a primal fear.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown, the fear of losing control,
Right.
the fear that like the reality we perceive might not be the reality that exists.
You know, it's interesting because we often think of horror as something external.
Yeah.
Like monsters, ghosts, serial killers.
Right.
But this story suggests that the true horror might lie within ourselves, like in our own minds, our own vulnerabilities.
And the narrator's journey,
Yeah.
his descent into paranoia and self-doubt, it serves as like a cautionary tale.
Right.
It reminds us how easily our perception can be manipulated.
Yeah.
How quickly our own thoughts can turn against us.
It's almost like a modern day version of the panopticon, you know?
That's a great analogy.
Like that idea that we're constantly being watched,
Yeah.
scrutinized, judged,
Right.
and the mere possibility of being observed changes our behavior,
Right.
even if we're not actually being watched at any given moment.
And it ties into the theme of surveillance
Right.
that we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
You know, this story, whether intentionally or not,
Yeah.
reflects a growing anxiety about the erosion of privacy in the digital age.
Right.
The feeling that we're constantly being monitored, that our every move is being tracked and recorded.
And that feeling, that lack of control, can be incredibly unsettling. It makes you question everything. Your memories, your perceptions, even your own identity.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be critical consumers of information,
Right.
to question what we see and hear, to evaluate sources, to
Right.
form our own conclusions.
So what can we as listeners take away from this deep dive into paranoia and uncertainty?
I think the most important takeaway is this.
Okay.
Trust your instincts.
Right.
If something feels wrong,
Uh-huh.
if something doesn't add up,
Yeah.
don't dismiss it.
Okay.
Pay attention to those red flags, the
Right.
subtle signs that something might be amiss.
It's like that old saying, if you see something, say something.
Right.
In this case, it's more like if you feel something, question something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions,
Right.
to challenge assumptions,
Yeah.
to seek out different perspectives.
Yeah.
Because in a world where the lines between reality and illusion are increasingly blurred,
Right.
the only compass we can truly rely on is our own internal sense of what's right and what's wrong.
So to wrap things up, I think it's safe to say that this deep dive has been a thought-provoking journey into the dark side of the human psyche.
It really has.
We've explored the themes of paranoia, manipulation, and the fragility of perception.
Right.
And we've been left with more questions than answers.
Yeah,
But I think that's okay.
I agree.
Sometimes the most valuable insights come from embracing the unknown,
Absolutely.
from grappling with the unsettling truths that lie beneath the surface of our everyday lives.
Well said. And with that thought, I'll leave you with this.
Okay.
As you go about your day,
Yeah.
as you interact with the world around you,
Mm-hmm.
remember the story we've just explored. Remember the power of suggestion,
Yeah.
the vulnerability of the human mind,
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of trusting your own instincts.
Okay.
Because in a world where reality itself is up for grabs,
Yeah.
the only person you can truly rely on is yourself.
And on that note, thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.